Before we crack open tonight's cursed can of content, I just want to say a big thank you to all our subscribers, and an extra sinister shout out to the loyal members of the Sinister Elite. You legends help keep the darkness alive. If you're enjoying the stories and want to take it a step further, hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed, and consider joining the Sinister Elite by clicking that join button below. Members get access to creepy custom emojis and exclusive Sinister Elite badges that level up the longer you survive with us. It's like loyalty, but spookier. All right, lights off, headphones in, and let's summon something we'll all regret. Orientation took 12 minutes. HR slid me a flashlight, a key ring heavy as regret, and a laminated card. After-hours security, abandoned East Wing. I asked if we really call it abandoned. She said, it keeps people out, and walked away. I've done nights in warehouses, a library, even a cemetery that was raccoons. Hospitals are different. They breathe. The East Wing door was a steel throat with yellowed tape. Do not enter, seriously. Sarcasm was printed. Beside it, a plaque titled, Rules to Keep the Patients Quiet. Clock in at 11:57 p.m., not earlier, not later. Knock twice before unlocking. If something knocks back, clock out. Tell no one. Keep overheads off. Use the issued flashlight only. Never shine it directly at a bed. If the call button chimes from room 13, ignore it. We don't have a room 13. If a nurse in a cap asks the year, say, visiting hours are over, and keep walking. Return wanderers to bed without speaking their names. At midnight, read the roll call out loud. Every name. Don't miss anyone. I knocked twice. Nothing knocked back. The lock turned with a cough. It smelled like iodine and old breath. Paint peeled into letters my brain tried to read. Without overheads, my flashlight tunneled the hall and made me feel like bait. Beds waited like parked boats. Someone had scrawled "don't" in red and never finished the sentence. At 11:59, I reached the nurse's station. Dusty plexi, a fossil computer with a mouse, and a blue binder labeled Roll Call. Midnight clicked. The building changed its mind about silence. I opened the binder to block capitals, 24 names, and a faint impressed line at the bottom like pressure without ink. Roll call, I said. Bed 1, Baker James. A soft exhale answered from the dark. Bed 2, Alvarez Maria. A sheet shifted like a sigh turning over. I read down the page. Bed 5's clipboard tapped once. Bed 9 coughed and then pretended not to. The numbers jumped from 12 to 14. Fine. My beam jittered and, for a blink, landed on a steel plaque stamped 013. When I looked again, the plaque had never existed. The call button chimed thin and far. Rule 4 said ignore it. My mouth ignored it. My feet wandered nearer. There's a door with no numbers where the shadow of screws still makes a 13. The call light glowed red. The chime pinged again and I tasted battery on my tongue. My radio crackled. Security? Status? No check-in was scheduled. The voice had a nurse's calm. Visiting hours are over, I said, defaulting to Rule 5. The radio hissed down. The call light dimmed. Something near me exhaled like relief. I finished the names. When I closed the binder, a draft lifted the pages to peek at me. Time moved. My pulse tripped. Patrol. I walked past tape ghosts, fingerprint smears, a head dent in a pillow that looked absent. A paper gown hung on a hook, empty as a sentence cut short. I whispered, "You good?" The curtain rings clinked once. At the corridor's end, a crash cart hunched with a museum-grade defibrillator. A metal basin sat on top, polished by anxious hands. Inside lay a fresh visitor sticker. Name, blank. Time in 12:01 a.m. A wheel bumped, not a scurry, an intentional nudge. I turned too fast and my beam kissed a sheeted face. Not a face. The concavity one leaves. "Sir," I said, sanding panic. "Visiting hours are over." The call button chimed again. Not from the impossible room, but from behind the nurse's station. I stepped back and found the mouse had rolled to face the hall. On the chair cushion, in dust, a fresh sit-bone imprint. "Roll call," a whisper said an inch from my ear. "Helpful. Hungry." The binder lay closed but swelled like breath. I opened it. A penciled line had appeared at the bottom. Bed 25. "You missed me." Cold threaded my sleeves. I hadn't missed anyone. I read them again, fast. While I read, the graphite words smudged to nothing. My radio crackled. Same calm voice. "Security, please come to room the..." Static ate the number. "Room 30. 30. Then softer. "Don't say it." He's listening, I didn't ask who. Names are hooks. Rules are guardrails. I counted doors. 27, 28, 29. The next plate was missing. Inside, moonlight leaking past a crooked shade, silvering a bed that looked slept in and unoccupied. The call light was off. The air felt almost warm enough to be someone. "Okay," I said. "No names after midnight. If you're up, I can help you back." The curtain moved 1 inch. Air cooled near my cheek, warmer half a step in, like body heat had a shape I couldn't see. The mattress sighed. "Roll call," the air said again. Back at the station, the binder flipped its cover. A page turned with a paper-cut hiss. My radio popped. A new voice spoke right into the mic, baritone and too close. "You forgot someone," he said. The call light at the nurse's station blinked awake. I turned and stupidly asked, "Who?" The hall paused like it wanted the answer too. Somewhere behind me, a bed's wheels unlocked. Just a click, and a frame whispered an inch along tile. Then the impossible door breathed in. The sound wasn't loud, but it thumped the ribcage in my chest. A door taking a deep, wet breath. I spun. The hallway behind me had always been narrow, but now it stretched like a throat, swallowing space. The room 13 that wasn't supposed to exist swelled with shadow. Its door pulsed once. The air smelled like iron and sour breath. Rule 4 flashed in my head. Ignore the call button from room 13. But it didn't say anything about what to do if the whole damn room decided to breathe. I walked backward toward the nurse's station. My flashlight jittered and caught a set of bed wheels moving an inch at a time. The sheeted figure beneath didn't shift. The bed was rolling itself toward me. I muttered. "Nope. You stay parked." The bed stopped, like it understood English but didn't care enough to obey. The binder on the station desk flipped another page by itself. Names whispered under breath, the sound of paper rustling where no hands were. When I leaned close, I saw something scribbled at the bottom again. Bed 25. Roll call. I felt stupid, but I cleared my throat. Bed 25. I looked around the empty station. Present? The words hung. Then, from directly behind me, "Here." I flung the flashlight. It clattered across tile and rolled a beam across empty hallway. Except, it wasn't empty. A figure stood at the edge of the light, blurred like a photograph mid-shake. I couldn't see a face, just outlines, hospital gown, bare feet, and a neck bent at a wrong angle, like gravity had opinions. The thing didn't step closer. It just raised one hand and crooked its finger. Roll call indeed. My radio snapped alive again. "Security," the calm nurse's voice said. "Escort wanderers back to bed without speaking their names." Great. I didn't even know its name, but something told me if I guessed, I'd end up filling the bed instead. So I approached. The gown figure swayed like it was tethered by invisible rope. Its feet didn't scuff the tile. They hovered a fraction above. As I got closer, the flashlight beam stuttered and cut off entirely. I was left with darkness thick enough to butter. "All right, pal," I said, trying to sound like a cop in a training video. "Back to bed." The figure let me guide it. Its shoulder felt like pushing against freezer-burnt meat wrapped in fabric. No heat, no pulse, just compliance. I tucked it into a random bed. Bed 18, if clipboards could be trusted. Sheets lifted on their own, sliding over its chest. The head turned slowly toward me and I swear it smiled, though there were no lips. Just a sense of grin. I backed out fast. The binder rustled again. All the names were crossed out with thin, penciled lines except the last one. Bed 25. Here. Then the call button chimed, from every single bed at once. I froze. The hall glowed with tiny red dots above each bed, all blinking in sync like Christmas in hell. The rules. Stick to the rules. I flipped the card in my pocket with my thumb until I felt the groove of Rule 6. Return wanderers to bed without speaking their names. Okay, did that. Rule 7. At midnight, read the roll call. Don't miss anyone. Already did, sort of. So why were the lights screaming? I pressed the radio. Control? Anyone? Static. Then faint giggling, like a kid covering the mic. I slammed it back on my belt. The lights blinked faster. Then, one by one, they began to go out. Not turning off, but burning out. Faint plinks of glass popping. The wing went darker than a grave. In the pitch black, I heard beds sliding. Not one. Not two. All of them. The rubber wheels squealed like sneakers on gym floor. And then, every single patient whispered at once. Not words, just a hiss. The sound of air escaping lungs that shouldn't have any left. I backed into the nurse's station and hit the breaker switch. The overheads flickered on for the first time all night. I wish they hadn't. Every bed was occupied. Not by dust or sheets, by patients, dozens of them. Pale as Xerox paper, mouths stitched with bruises, eyes black as unplugged screens. They lay perfectly still except for one. Bed 25. That one sat upright, head cocked, looking at me, and it raised a finger. You missed me, it whispered again. The overhead snapped back off, and something cold brushed past my shoulder. The cold touch slid across my shoulder and vanished. My whole body wanted to sprint, but the keyring on my belt felt like an anchor. Rule 1. Clock in at 11:57. Not earlier, not later. I was already past midnight. My shift had hours left. Running wasn't an option. Not unless I wanted to test what happened if you broke all the rules at once. So I did what security guards get paid minimum wage for. I kept walking rounds. My flashlight coughed back to life after a smack. The beam jittered across a wall of faded kid murals. Smiling suns, crooked giraffes, a rabbit with too many teeth. My breath echoed off the tile. Behind me, the beds were still. Sheets rose and fell in fake rhythm, like every chest had practiced breathing just to screw with me. The binder on the nurse's desk was shut tight, but I could hear pages turning even from down the hall. Fine, I muttered. You want rounds? Let's do rounds. I passed the old ICU. Inside, monitors were unplugged, but their screens flickered green heartbeats anyway. A long flat line wailed from a machine with no cord. Then another beeped in. Then another. A chorus of monitors sang like the wing was alive with invisible patients. Rule 3 said, use flashlight only. Never shine it directly at a bed. So I kept the beam on the floor, tracing linoleum cracks and ignoring the way shadows leaned the wrong direction. At room 21, something shuffled. I froze. The curtain swayed and a silhouette limped forward. It looked like a nurse, cap and all, but her shoes were missing. Bare feet slapped wet against tile. Sir, she said, voice syrupy and old-fashioned. What year is it? Rule 5. If a nurse in a cap asks the year, say, visiting hours are over, and keep walking. Visiting hours are over, I croaked, marching like a soldier who forgot left from right. She watched me pass. Her neck turned farther than any hinge had a right to. Bones popped like bubble wrap. I didn't look back. By the time I hit room 24, my knuckles were white on the flashlight. My brain kept whispering, almost done. Almost done. But the wing had a sense of humor. Because when I turned the corner, the hallway didn't end at room 24. It looped back to the start. The nurse's station waited ahead like it had been following me instead of the other way around. And on the desk, the binder was open again. New writing scarred the last page. Roll call again. Read it. Nope, I said, backing up. Already did my homework. The air chilled. Beds groaned. Wheels squealed. All 24 of them started sliding toward me in unison. Slow, but relentless. My heart tried to Houdini out of my ribs. I grabbed the binder. The names were the same, but there was a new one added in thick black ink. Bed, 26 security. The moment I saw it, a bed screeched free from the others. An empty frame rolled into the hall, sheets crisp, pillow fluffed. It stopped 6 inches from me, waiting like an Uber with terrible reviews. No, 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 I whispered. I am not lying down in that thing. The overhead speakers crackled, dust raining from their grates. A distorted intercom voice, calm as ever, spoke. Escort yourself back to bed. I stumbled backward, almost tripped over the rolling mattress. The sheets lifted on their own, opening like arms. The other patients began whispering again, all at once. This time, words. My name. Over and over, dozens of stitched mouths hissing it like steam. I hadn't told them my name. Rule 6. Return wanderers without speaking their names. But what about when they spoke mine? I bolted, past the rolling bed, past the whispering chorus. My flashlight swung wild, painting the walls in chaos. Doors blurred past. 17, 18, 19. I didn't stop until I was back at the steel entrance, the tape sign sneering, "Do not enter." Seriously. I slammed my key in, twisted, pulled. Nothing. The lock wouldn't budge. Behind me, the hallway groaned like the whole wing was leaning forward. The impossible door, room 13, breathed in again. And then it opened. The door didn't creak. It inhaled. Hinges bowed like ribs and air whooshed through my teeth. My flashlight dimmed to a cigarette glow. I didn't want to look, but rules or not, my eyes were dragged. Room 13 shouldn't exist. The blueprint said 12 rooms, then 14. Yet, here it was, square and waiting, its door yawning open like a sore. Inside was nothing. No bed, no curtain, no monitors. Just walls blacker than blackout paint. And the smell. Not rot, not blood. Something worse. Like someone had bottled silence and left it to spoil. The intercom fizzed overhead. Security, the calm voice said, but it wasn't calm anymore. Do not enter room 3. Static. Then laughter, low and wet. The binder on the nurse's station flipped another page even though I wasn't near it. From across the hall I could see the words glowing faintly. Roll call. Room 13. Every instinct screamed nope. I turned for the exit, yanking at the door again. Still locked. Keys clinked useless. Behind me, beds scraped closer, like the whole ward was closing ranks. And from the black of room 13, something whispered. Not words. A voice practicing my voice. Hey, it said in my own tone. Back to bed. The flashlight flickered out. Darkness pressed on my eyes like hands. I felt, more than saw, one of the beds rolling up behind me. The sheet brushed my arm, soft, almost kind. Then fingers. Too many fingers. Cold, jointless digits crawling over my sleeve. I snapped. I shouted the only thing in my head. Visiting hours are over. The entire wing froze. Silence slammed like a door. The fingers retreated. Sheets dropped. For a second, it was just me panting in dark. Then, slow as molasses, the whisper came again. Visiting hours are over. Same words, same voice. Only this time it came from inside room 13. The flashlight sputtered alive, dim beam cutting across the threshold. The black walls had changed. They weren't walls. They were beds. Dozens of them, stacked like honeycomb, climbing to a ceiling I couldn't see. Each bed held a figure stitched into sheets, mouths wide, eyes shut, and all of them exhaled in unison. Roll call, they hissed. I staggered back. The rules. The damn rules. Read every name, keep patients quiet, don't miss anyone. This was where the missed ones lived. A shape slid from one of the beds high on the wall, dropped, landed without sound. It unfolded into a person-sized smear, limbs bending too far, head swiveling until it clicked. Its hospital gown was blank white, no name tag, no chart. Bed 25, it whispered. Bed 26. Bed 27. And then it pointed at me. My radio shrieked to life. Do not let them count you. The voice wasn't calm anymore. It was panicked. Keep moving. Keep them guessing. I bolted sideways down the hall away from room 13. My flashlight bobbed over faces in beds, each one snapping its head to follow. Call buttons blinked like evil Morse code. I ran past the ICU again. The monitors spiked, flatlines screaming. Every screen spelled letters in jagged heartbeat lines. Your turn. The hallway looped, of course it did, and spat me right back at the nurse's station. The binder sat open. New words scribbled in frantic black. Roll call, security, absent, and beneath it, replace immediately. The overheads flickered on by themselves, buzzing angry. All the patients sat up at once, every single one. Bed frames groaned, stitched mouths pulled open like zippers, and they all whispered in my voice, perfect and mocking. Here. The word echoed like a punch in a cathedral. Here, they all whispered in my voice. 24 stitched mouths croaking, plus the one I'd tucked back into bed 18, plus whatever the hell had crawled from room 13, all of them answering roll call on my behalf. I slapped the binder shut. Paper still rustled under my palm. The words replace immediately bled through the cover like ink in water. Nope, I growled. I'm still on payroll. The beds rolled forward in unison, metal wheels squealing like pigs. Their patients didn't move, just sat upright as the frames delivered them closer, one shove at a time. I scrambled behind the nurse's station, rifling through drawers like a raccoon in a diner dumpster. Gauze, pens, expired Tylenol, then jackpot, a ring of old brass keys labeled basement access. If a hospital has an answer to haunted crap, it's always in the basement. I sprinted. The hallway stretched again, but I forced my boots down with stubborn rhythm. Left, right, left, right. The walls didn't fight me this time. They herded me. Straight to a gray fire door at the end. Stenciled above. Stairs to lower levels. Staff only. Rule card burned in my pocket. None of the 7 rules mentioned a basement, which meant 2 things. 1, I was breaking routine, and 2, I might be alive by sunrise. The key jammed in the lock like it hadn't been used in decades. I wrenched. Metal screamed. The door yawned open. Down below, a single fluorescent tube buzzed weak light onto concrete steps. I slammed the door behind me, twisted the lock, and clattered down into gloom. The air here didn't smell like iodine. It smelled wet, moldy, the kind of damp you can taste. Halfway down, my radio hissed. "Don't go there," the voice warned. Quieter now, strained. "That's where they keep them." Static drowned it. The stairwell dumped me into a hall narrower than upstairs. Pipes rattled overhead. On either side, thick steel doors with slotted windows. No nameplates, just numbers painted on. 13A, 13B, 13C. Every cell window was black, but something leaned against the other side of the glass in each one. Sometimes a face, sometimes just hands. Sometimes an outline pressed flat like someone laminated alive. The binder's voice whispered in my head, "Roll call. Roll call." I bolted past. At the end of the hall stood a single gurney under a flickering bulb. On it lay a patient chart, pristine. I snatched it up, shaking. The name line was blank. The photo slot had a picture of me. "Bed 27, said a voice behind me. The figure from upstairs, white gown, wrong neck angle, stood in the stairwell doorway. It was grinning wider now, showing too many teeth. "Bed 28, whispered another, slinking from a side cell. "Bed 29. Shapes shuffled out, pale gowns glowing faint. They encircled me, one after another, whispering the next number. I clutched the chart to my chest like it was a shield. Bed 30. Bed 31. I shouted. Visiting hours are over. They paused. One heartbeat. Then every mouth in the basement set it back in perfect chorus. And the gurney I leaned against shifted. Sheets slithered. The bed wasn't empty. Something huge and stitched sat up beneath the fluorescent buzz. It had no face. Just a clipboard jammed where a head should be. My name was written across it in thick black marker. The monster swung its legs over. Bare feet slapped wet against concrete. Bed 32. It croaked in my voice. I dropped the chart and bolted back up the stairs. The door at the top shuddered under my shoulder, hinges bending, lock screeching. I shoved, kicked, begged. Behind me, the chorus rose, counting. 33. 34. The door burst open. I spilled back into the east wing hallway, chest burning, and froze. Every bed upstairs was empty, sheets neatly folded, clipboards gone. The whole ward smelled freshly cleaned like bleach and lemons. Only the nurse's station wasn't empty. The binder waited. Open. New words etched across the last page. Next roll call, Dawn. Do not miss your name. The wing looked scrubbed clean, like none of it had happened. No dust, no mold, no stitched mouth patients. Just polished floors reflecting my flashlight beam and the faint hum of overheads. But the binder ruined the illusion. It sat dead center on the nurse's desk, open to a single page that gleamed like wet ink. Next roll call, Dawn. Do not miss your name. I glanced at my watch. 4:41 a.m. Barely over an hour until shift's end. Piece of cake, I muttered. Just stay awake, don't get counted. Clock out. Right on cue, the call button chimed. Not one. All of them. Every door. Every room. Even the impossible room 13 pulsed with that high-pitched ding. The sound stacked on itself until it buzzed like angry bees in my skull. Rule 4 said, ignore room 13. But every button lighting up? The rules didn't cover that. The intercom crackled. A voice, tired, old, not the calm nurse from before, rasped, don't let them speak your name. Keep the list moving. Read faster than they can. The binder's page flipped by itself. Names crawled across the paper, fresh ink writing itself in real time. Baker, James, present. Alvarez, Maria, present. Wallace, Kevin, present. The list scrolled like a printer on autopilot, and every time a name appeared, I heard a matching breath in the hallway. Invisible bodies answering, one after the other. Then the list slowed. The next line wrote itself painfully slow, letters dragging as if carved by a rusty nail. Bed 33. My name. Nope, I said out loud. My voice shook, but words have power. I'm not answering that roll call. The overheads flickered. Beds groaned. That whispering chorus picked up again. Dozens of voices in my voice hissing, Here, here. Here I slammed the binder shut. Pages kept rustling anyway, trying to escape the cover. I pressed down harder until my knuckles bled white. My radio screeched. Not static this time. Sirens. Then laughter. Then my own voice again. You're late. Bed 33. Present. The steel entrance door rattled. My escape route. I yanked the keys, rammed one in. It turned. The lock clicked like mercy. But when I pulled the door open, it didn't show the hospital lobby. It showed room 13. Black walls, stacked beds, stitched faces waiting. All of them in unison. Roll call. I slammed it shut. The call button screamed, lights blinding red. Every bed frame slid out into the hallway, aligning side by side like a military parade. The sheets peeled back, inviting me in. Each mattress was perfectly made, waiting. My heart jackhammered. I pulled out the rule card, fingers smearing sweat. The words blurred, but one line burned bright. At midnight, read the roll call. Don't miss anyone. Midnight had passed, but dawn wasn't here yet. Maybe, just maybe, the only way through was to read. I tore the binder open and shouted the names, rapid fire, throat shredding. Baker, James, Alvarez, Maria, Wallace, Kevin. The patients hissed back, present, in chorus. Pages turned under my hands. I kept reading, faster and faster. My flashlight flickered out completely, but the binder glowed white in my grip. The names scrolled down the page until the last one. Bed 32. Face LS, clipboard. Present, it croaked from somewhere deep. Then silence. The last page turned. Blank. For one horrifying heartbeat, nothing wrote itself. And then in letters thick as arteries. Bed 33. Security. The air turned to ice. Behind me, one bed rolled forward, empty and open. Sheets folded themselves down. Pillow plumped. The intercom whispered in my own shredded voice. Answer roll call. My watch beeped. 6 a.m. dawn. The binder slammed shut on its own. Every bed frame froze mid-roll. Call lights died. Overheads clicked off one by one until the wing fell dark. And then, silence. When I opened my eyes, I was slumped against the nurse's station. The binder sat closed, dusty, like it hadn't been touched in years. My watch read 6:07 a.m. The steel exit door opened easily this time. The lobby smelled like burnt coffee and janitor bleach. Normal. I handed in my keyring and clocked out. But the rule card in my pocket felt heavier. When I pulled it free in the parking lot, I saw a new line etched into the bottom. Rule 8. At dawn, leave quickly, and don't look back. Naturally, I looked back. Every window in the abandoned east wing was lit, and in the middle one, someone stood. Me, smiling.